This is Dr. Jake. I have replaced the oil seals that goes in the top of these injectors, and I just wanted to show you something I think might be helpful. These seals are kind of stiff and a little bit thick, and they're kind of a cram to get them in there. After you get them in there, before you install your oil manifold, I think it's a good idea to take a socket, find you a small socket that's about the approximate size of what goes in there, looking at the oil rail, and you can stick it in here, wallow it around like that. It helps seat that seal. Make sure it's seated in the groove. You don't want to have a problem when you put your oil manifold on it. This right side's pretty crowded up. It's just a big deal to have to go back and change one if you used to mess up one. This socket's kind of hard to get in there until you have stuck it in there and kind of wallowed it around, got the seal seated in the groove. It's a good bit easier to stick it back in there after you've done that. Thought that might be helpful. Let me show y'all another thing. There's two bolts right here that's pretty difficult to get to. It's a number 30 Torx bit. That's what it looks like. You put a regular old snap-on, regular old snap-on 30 on it. I tried to turn it with some vice grips, and I didn't have much luck breaking it loose. If you got one of these, looks like Allen wrench, but it's a 30. That works pretty good. I use some pliers to tighten it up, like this. And break it loose. So, if you're gonna be doing one of these, you probably ought to get you one of these number 30s that's bent like, made like this. It's hard to get in there with a socket. Ain't but two of them. I never could get it loose with a regular old socket and vice grip. If you got this Allen wrench looking thing with a number 30 on it, it would be mighty helpful. You know what I mean? On this right side, I put the oil manifold on it, and just as a practice run without the tube, and pushed it down. It goes down a lot better if you wallow out the seals a little bit with that little socket. If you're wondering how you're going to deal with this tube on this side, I can show you what you can do. Just take your oil manifold from about where it's supposed to be and tilt it up a little bit. And as you see, there's enough room to slide that whole tube in there like that. It'll just drop in there. After you do that, then get your manifold, line it up, push it right down on top of your injectors like that. See, it's in place now. And then the tube, you can just push it down and screw it in. It's pretty easy. I didn't do it that way when I took it apart, and it was...
Where'd you learn that shit out of? On the internet?
It was aggravating to get it apart. But putting it together is pretty easy if you know how to do it. Just take your 10mm socket, Allen head socket, and screw that out. When you take it apart, and you won't have so much trouble with it. Of course, putting it together is pretty easy. All I got to do now is screw this down, put all my little bolts in it. Should be ready to go. After you get your oil manifold bolted down, you come back, push. You have to push on that a little bit to get it started. And you screw your oil, screw the tube in like that. tube is not a problem. If you know to screw in and out, it's not a problem. When you get ready to tighten up your valve cover bolts, snap-on wiggle socket does pretty good. Long extension on these two bolts. These bolts with the studs on them. Use a wiggle socket, snap on them deep. All these bolts has got studs on them. I'll take a white marker. Take a white marker and mark where to go. I never can remember where to go. I don't even try to. Just get you a white marker and mark where to go. It works out pretty good for me. I never can remember how to go. Well, here goes a little bit of advice for y'all. When you go to lay all these missile wires back over on top of the motor, guess what? This doggone oil pipe that feeds the oil to the turbo, that one right there, it's all up in the way. I gotta take it back off. I suppose you might need to put that on after you put the wires in there instead of before like I did. That's some of that retardation. Oh, I ain't supposed to use that word. They trying to get rid of the R word and the N word. What's up with that? You look in the phone book, it's in there. Mental retardation. They got the phone number in there. They ain't gonna get rid of that word. What's wrong with them? Sarah, leave the word alone. We need the N word, we need the R word. We got to have them two words. Leave them alone. They're not going away. You know what I mean? Alright, the pipe. Don't put the pipe in there till you put the wires on it. It ain't no big deal, take it back off. But, you know, if you knew not to do it to start with, you wouldn't do it to start with. So, don't put the pipe in there. Alright, I'm going to move on to the next step. See y'all.